Hey, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great week. Welcome to another batch of fun games, demos, and indie games that I am ready to show off for you this week. I have a few for you, one of which is not really an indie game, but it was a fun game nonetheless, and I do want to talk about it today, and another game I wanted to mention in a major release coming out at the end of this video. But first, I want to talk about Hyper Light Breaker. I am playing it right now, and I do have a video that I'm going to make about it at the end of this month when I put more time into it, because I definitely have some thoughts. I talked a little bit about it so far, but man, that game is punishing, and I understand the problems, I understand the issues, and I understand things aren't really going the way people expected for Hyper Light Breaker, but it is still a fun game, and I'm trying to vary up my approach in it. But again, I will talk about it when it is time to talk about it. But let's get into the games for this week. The first game I have up is a game called Castaway, and shout out to Good Game Lobby for this amazing game. He did a review on it just recently. I'm going to link that review in the description of this video. So give Good Game Lobby a watch because it deserves a lot more views. It deserves a lot of praise. Subscribe to Good Game Lobby because he does fantastic reviews of any games. There's a lot more reviews than I have the time for because he plays a lot of games. So shout out to Good Game Lobby for the recommend on Castaway. But what is Castaway? It's basically a pixel art Zelda-like game. It's actually really short, which is what sold me on this game initially. In fact, I completed this game in about 30 minutes on the first time I played it, but then there are numerous different difficulties, including a speedrun mode, which I completed in about 15 minutes. And I'm not a speedrunning type of person, so if you're a speedrunning type of person, you can definitely get to this game in about 15 minutes or less than that. But what really sells me on the value of this game, aside from the amazing pixel art, the great music, and just an overall fun Zelda-like vibe, is a roguelike mode, which you can get into at the very end of your playthrough. It's about 51 towers that you go through, and you're upgrading your weapons, be it your sword, your pickaxe, your shield, and also your hearts as well. So that increases the replayability and the value of this game, Castaway. But it's a very fun game. It's only $8 on Steam. I highly recommend you pick it up if you have the time, because you definitely have the time, because it's very short. And shout out to Good Game Lobby again. Check out his review for Castaway. So the first demo I want to talk about is a game that's not an indie game. I know I focus on indie games here, but like I said, I wanted to talk about this game. The first Berserker, Khazan, is a hardcore action role-playing game. The player will become Khazan, the great general of the Pelos Empire, who overcame death and sets out to reveal the incidents that led to his downfall and seek vengeance on his enemies. This is set in the DNF universe, or the Dungeon Fighters Online universe, if you're familiar with that. That game is actually a massive multiplayer online RPG with a numerous of characters. I think it's probably on the realm of like a League of Legends or something like that. I'm not really too familiar with DFO, but I'm more familiar with DNF Duel, the fighting game that came out a couple years ago. So yeah, Khazan is basically the Berserker class, and it's entirely game set in his story, and it's a Souls-like game, which is what drew me to the first Berserker Khazan. So really fun demo. Fantastic art style, very anime inspired, as you're seeing from the gameplay here. Very standard Souls-like gameplay. You have a dash, you have your dual blades, you're running around, you're doing all your lights and your heavies. It's almost kind of like a pseudo action game, be it like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta, but the first Berserker Khazan is a Souls-like, as I was remembering as I was getting messed up, because there is stamina. You will get staggered if you run out of stamina, but you can stagger enemies with your heavy attacks, and you do have your loot, and you do have item descriptions for your loot. You have backtracking. You basically have a bonfire, which is what this giant sword is. And the combat is fun. I do like the loops. The gears that you get actually increases your stats, but some of the gear, at least the gear I was picking up in this demo, did not look really cool, but it's anime. It kind of almost reminds me of Code Vein, if anybody remembers Code Vein. It was a Souls-like anime game that came out, I don't know, about maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. I'm not too sure when Code Vein came out, but that's essentially what this game is trying to draw from. If you're interested in the first Berserker Khazan, it comes out on March the 25th for $59.99. It's a full price game. Demo's available right now. If you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. It's very fun. Back to indie games, and the next demo I have up is a game called, and I'm going to try to say this name right, I think it's called Katanaut, which is essentially a combination of Katana and Astronaut, and you can see why. It kind of reminds me of Katana Zero almost, but set in a sci-fi world. In the description of this game says Katanaut is a fast-paced action roguelike blending fluid combat and cosmic horror / dodge and wield powerful abilities as you battle through a station sprawling with twisted once human horrors, adapt, survive, and descend into the shadows to uncover its darkest secrets. The combat of this game is incredibly fast. When I jumped into this game for the first time, I was like, what am I even looking at? The demo is so fast, the combat is so fast, you are slashing through all these enemies, you don't know which way to go. The hit registration was a lot crazier than I thought, but it's really fun once you get the flow of the combat. The pixel art was really cool. I like this sci-fi horror punk style universe that you're set in, and it's a roguelike, so you are going throughout your runs, you're hitting all your enemies, you're gathering increases to your sword, you're gathering ranged weapons, you have various abilities to be able to mow down your enemies a lot more quickly, you have a lot of time stop, you have a dodge, so standard action roguelike type of stuff, but with this gorgeous pixel art, with this very, I want to say like zombie horde type stuff, but you are a lot stronger than these zombies, but they will overwhelm you if you're not careful. I find myself, because of how fast this game was, that I was being taken out pretty quickly. I thought that time slowed down, but it actually was me dying. So really interesting game. It comes out sometime in 2025. It's developed and published by Voidmaw. I definitely want to see more of this game. Check out the demo for Katanaut or something of that nature. Bit of a change of pace here with the next demo and a release for this week. It's called Cat Detective Albert Wilde. And it says, play as the cat detective Albert Wilde, walk, talk, integrate, joke, solve a mystery, and experience an old film noir setting with humanoid animal characters. A story of quantum theory and parallel universes served with a lot of humor. And this is developed and published by Beyond Those Hills. I was looking at various games that came out over this week, and I don't know what it is about cat games and indie developers. People love cats. I'm not a cat person myself. I'm actually allergic to cats, but I really like the art style of this game being set of a detective film noir style, and even your main character Albert Wilde speaks in that very detective noir style of talking, and also there's a lot of humor with this game. I find myself laughing a lot throughout this demo because it's basically people with animal heads wearing suits, and they're doing all the things that you would expect a normal detective noir story to do, but it's animals. So it's really funny. The demo is basically like a walking simulator. Not a whole lot of crazy combat. This is why it's a change of pace from the games I was talking about a second ago. So interesting game, all set in the first person, black and white style. Cat Detective Albert Wilde comes out on January the 24th. Either it's already out or it's about to come out, depending on when this video releases, because I'm recording this several days before. But if you're interested in a hilarious film noir style game with animal characters, check out Cat Detective Albert Wilde. If you're unfamiliar with any of the mini fests that happen at Steam throughout the year, the first one that is going on right now until the 27th of this month is the Steam Real-Time Strategy Fest. And I wanted to feature one of those games that I was looking up, and that is called IDUN Frontline Survival, and that is developed by IDUN Interactive and published by Surefire Games. The description says it is a defense RTS where you can move turrets at will, extract resources, upgrade technology, and defend against enemy swarms in a gripping space campaign. Hold the line, set up your turrets, and brace for screen-filling hordes. I was thinking that this was maybe some sort of secret vampire survivors-like kind of game, but it's definitely an RTS where you're moving around your characters and also your turrets and gathering resources, upgrading your ship, and also getting more upgrades to your character's weapons and abilities and all that stuff that you find in RTS. There's also a bit of interesting and hilarious dialogue between all the characters within this deep, rich lore of IDUN, but I don't know too much about the characters, so to speak, but I was intrigued by the demo because there's a lot of stuff on the screen, and you're moving about, you're moving your characters, and I got pretty rocked after the first bit of tutorialization of this game because I am not an RTS type of person, but I wanted to try this out, and I may try to go back in and try to figure out what this game is about. But it is actually out right now. It came out on the 20th and is actually on sale for $13.49. Original price is $14.99, so it's not even that expensive, but that is on sale 10% off until February the 3rd. If you are someone who is into RTS games, I would recommend giving IDUN Frontline Survival a try if you're interested. If you want to see how many of these massive horrors characters that you can take down during this. And if you're someone who is into RTSs, drop in the comments an RTS that I should get into, because I would like to try to get into an RTS. I like to dabble in all the different genres, so I think RTS might be a fun one. This looks pretty fun, but if you're someone who is deeply into RTSs, give me one that you feel like I would be interested in, or you feel like that's the one that represents the genre the most. I don't know if this one does it or if there are ones that are better than that. I'm sure there are, but recommend an RTS in the comments if you so desire. But IDUN Frontline Survival is one of those games that is happening right now during this fest. Check it out. So I was going to update you on Ravenswatch, a game that I've been playing over the past couple of weeks. And it's a very fun game, and they had a major update that was going to drop on January the 23rd, but literally at the time of pulling this up, the devs said that they will be pushing back the Nightmares Unleashed update to later on in the year. It says due to delays in the console submission process. So unfortunately that update is not going to come out this week, and I'm kind of bummed about that because I was excited for the things that were going to come out. And I'll read a little bit of what they are going to release with this update. It's basically an improved key system, an alternate master nightmare patterns, new mini bosses, new activities and map events, refugees, which is another faction, and also much more. So we will find that out at a later date. Gives me more of an excuse to talk more about Ravenswatch and how fun this game is. I've unlocked all the characters so far, but I've really camped out on Beowulf. I really enjoy his abilities with the worm and a lot of his talents that go along with the worm that makes characters ignite and explode, and all the talents that you get therein. I really love the special where he's swinging around his sword, especially when it's set on fire and you're setting enemies on fire, and he's basically a tank with a lot more damage into him. I like Beowulf. I like Aladdin, who I unlocked recently, who I enjoy his genie powers, but I'm trying to figure out how the wish system works. And that enjoy Sun Wukong, but I got to figure out the yin yang system, because when you're in, I think it's yin or yang, which gives you more damage, but you also receive more damage. So trying to figure out how to swap between the two. So I'm enjoying those characters very much in Ravenswatch, fun roguelike that I'm trying to camp out on, as well as Hyper Light Breaker, which I'll talk about later. So yeah, I was going to talk more about Ravenswatch, but more on that when the update releases sometime with the release date. So at the time of this recording, they don't have a new release date, but I'm sure at the time of the release of this video, they will have a release date, and I'll put that down in a pinned comment, as well as some other corrections that I may have down there. So yeah, I know this is a little bit of a shorter video, not many games to speak of. Trying to play more games. I have a review coming out. I had a review that was going to come out this week, but the game itself was unplayable, so I couldn't finish that review. But I have another review that's going to come out later on next week if I can finish it. I feel like I'm close to the end. I just got to get the footage for it and script it and all that stuff, because the review process is a little bit longer for me because of my schedule and all the time that I have. But it is coming. Got my UFO 50 series and more videos like these. But if you want to see more things like that, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy discovering all these fun and interesting games. Let me know if any of these games interested you, or if you have any RTS games that you want to recommend down in the comments. Like I said earlier, my name is Chike, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.